Department of Justice scrubbed from its website in September.
Without objection, the gentlelady from
Thank
Texas
you.
is recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And to be clear, I'm not going to ask any questions of this witness because this witness has revealed that she has no intentions of answering questions. But instead, I'm going to ask some very basic questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballant, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massie, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on, and frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter, so let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, this is a good one. Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history, an attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Excuse me, gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, my friend, for many years. I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try, Congresswoman Crockett, to ask any questions, because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted. So what we talking about? Convict
Texas,
some of these perpetrators that
homicide.
rape these women that are
Chairman,
sitting
time
behind you,
Time
that
belongs
you
to the
refuse
gentleman
to
from
even acknowledge
Kansas.
they are here.
Time belongs to the
Texas.
gentleman from Kansas.
Mr. Chairman, could I have a few seconds
You
back
bet,
to make
you
up
bet.
for the yelling? Thank you. General,
Thank
did you have anything
Congress.
further to say?
Texas, convicted of homicide. Cecil Joseph, from Dominican Republic. Texas, convicted for kidnapping, rape. Khalid Khan, from Afghanistan. That's why they want to talk about Epstein and not what's happening in their own states.
Thank you, General, and thank you for being here. And this has been quite a spectacle to observe today. I think it's sad. I ran for Congress because I thought we had serious problems in this country we wanted to try to fix together. And this performance today, not yours, General, but some of my colleagues, has not shored up my confidence that we are up to the task. You and I served together for 8 years when you were Attorney General of Florida and I in Kansas. You served professionally. I'm glad to be able to serve with you in these new roles, and I'm glad you're there, both generally and today. Part of the reason I ran for Congress is because in my former role, I saw in the real world, in my state, the consequences of failed U.S. immigration and border security policy. And I'll spare you the lengthy recitation, but let me give you the short version. I sit here and think about a fellow who was running, I believe it was drugs for the cartels, and shot a police officer in Oklahoma, drove across the border into my state, kidnapped an old man, and then invaded a house and shot at cops before we ultimately neutralized him. He's in prison now for, I believe, the rest of his life. I'm thinking about a drunk driver who was in our country illegally, never should have been here, and one night killed a young deputy on southern Johnson County, Kansas, who was making a traffic stop on another individual. Drunk driver ran into him, never should have been here, shouldn't have happened. Thinking about a guy who was deported repeatedly, came back and ultimately murdered, I believe it was 4 people in Kansas City, Kansas, and then fled to Missouri and killed a 5th guy. He died in prison. I'm thinking about a guy we prosecuted who wasn't supposed to be in this country, who raped a child in a little rural county up north on the Nebraska border, and we sent him to prison for, I believe, the rest of his life. Thinking about a guy who wasn't supposed to be here at all, who murdered, I think it was his wife or his domestic partner in an act of domestic violence in northwest Kansas. Thinking about another guy who was here and joined up with some folks who were citizens and committed a crime spree and then thought he might get caught, so he killed one of his accomplices. And we sent him to prison for the rest of his life. And that's just the ones I'm thinking about sitting right here. And you know what's common in all of those? They all committed violations of my state's law. They were caught by my state's law enforcement. They were prosecuted by my state's prosecutors. They are serving time in my state's prisons. And if and when they ever get out, the United States has said they need to be sent out of this country because of what they did. There's a list, you're holding up photos, General. There's a list on the Department of Homeland Security's website. It has about 280, 290 people like that in my state of Kansas. And you know what? We haven't made headlines like Minneapolis. We haven't made headlines like Memphis. We haven't made headlines like Los Angeles. And you know why? Because our cops are professionals and our politicians, by law, allow them to do their job. and to work with federal agents for safe handoffs in order to do everything that's supposed to be done, justice under state law, and the justice of deportation on the back end. So I want to do something that's been rare here today, General. I want to ask you about public policy. Donald Trump won't be president forever. I would like to lock in some of these gains we have made in public safety. Should we be exploring the idea, for example, of beefing up 287G partnerships, or maybe replicating that so that state prosecutors can work more closely with federal prosecutors to get deportation orders as well as state convictions?
Absolutely.
In terms of sanctuary jurisdictions, when a sanctuary jurisdiction says as a matter of politics, go pound sand to the feds, we won't honor your detainer, so they release those people I'm talking about into their communities. And those people commit another crime of property or violence against citizens. Should those citizens have some type of civil redress against the jurisdiction that as a matter of public policy turned those people loose who created the new victims?
Yeah, and Congressman, it's risking the lives of all of the citizens of that jurisdiction.
And you've been sued a lot, or the administration has, by folks who don't like your policies.
Hundreds of times.
You've won many of those.
Yes.
Isn't it the case that the law says under Rule 65 that when you win those and there's a wrongfully entered injunction that there's supposed to be a monetary remedy for that, so there's a cost?
Yes.
And didn't the president direct you and other agency heads to start seeking bonds in those cases?
Yes.
And should we beef up the law in that area by codifying that requirement going forward?
I would love to discuss that with you.
Thank you, General. Thank you for being here.
Gentleman yields back. Well done. Some of the questions he raised, we plan on taking up in a markup in a couple weeks on the whole sanctuary jurisdiction issue. With that, I recognize the gentleman from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, for taking the time to speak with us. We certainly really appreciate it. I've got a series of questions for you that we can get through pretty quickly, I think. Can you tell me, is it true that the Biden-Harris DOJ raided President Trump's home?
They did.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ allow Jack Smith to spy on over a dozen Republican members of Congress?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seize the phone of a sitting Republican congressman?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and Jack Smith pay at least $20,000 to confidential human sources to provide information on President Trump?
At least.
At least. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI fail to apprehend the suspect who placed pipe bombs near the Capitol ahead of January 6th?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target parents as domestic terrorists?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target pro-life Catholics, going so far as to interview a priest and a choir director?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ send FBI SWAT teams to arrest pro-life advocates with no criminal histories?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ use the FACE Act to target pro-life advocates while it allowed anti-life agitators to vandalize, destroy, and firebomb pregnancy resource centers and churches?
Multiple times, I believe.
Multiple times. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ ever determine who leaked the Dobbs decision?
I can't discuss that. No, under Biden-Harris.
Got it.
No.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI target whistleblowers for revealing waste, fraud, and abuse within the department to Congress?
Not to my knowledge.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ refuse to say whether it coordinated with Alvin Bragg, Fani Willis, and Letitia James in their lawfare against President Trump?
They refused.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ slow-walk the criminal investigation and prosecution of Hunter Biden?
That's an understatement, in my opinion.
Yep. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ determine who brought cocaine into the Biden White House?
They did not.
They did not. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the
Well,
extent?
as far as we know, they did not.
Right, that's right. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the extent of the Russia collusion hoax?
Absolutely, in my opinion. Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seek leniency from a federal court for an IRS contractor who leaked sensitive tax information on over 7,600 Americans, including President Trump?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ sue Texas because the state wanted to secure its own southern border?
Yes.
And finally, did the Biden-Harris DOJ attack SpaceX for hiring too many Americans?
I believe they did.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, and I appreciate that a lot of this is being cleaned up under your leadership. So thank you for returning the DOJ back to its core focus, which is on the rule of law. And I think that we see the results of that. I've got a few more similar questions for you. How have, over the past year since President Trump has been in office, how have murders trended in the United States?
Since President Trump has been in office, the murder rate has dropped to a historic 20% drop in the national murder rate, lowest since 1900.
20% drop in 1 year. That's incredible, isn't it?
And that's thanks to the incredible men and women of law enforcement, FBI, DEA, ATF, everyone working together to solve violent crime, along with our sheriffs, our local law enforcement, working as a team throughout this country, and our great state and federal prosecutors.
Yep. And how have robberies trended? Have they gone, even if they've just gone up or down?
Robberies, all violent crime, all violent crime has decreased, as well as robberies.
So murders, violent crime, the country is more safe now, it's fair to say, would you agree, than it was a year and a half ago under Joe Biden?
Absolutely, and Director Patel is working tirelessly to catch those, I'm sure you've been seeing, on the most wanted list. He and Deputy Director Bongino from day one said, we're going to get the most wanted list, and that's what's been happening, working hand in hand with all of our agencies.
Yep. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you for the work you've been doing to refocus the DOJ again on doing your core job. We're very happy with it, and I'll yield the remainder of my time to the chairman.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. I would just say, earlier one of the Democrats said that they said, who are you, who you are? And I think you're the Attorney General who I think on the first day disbanded the FIDF, first day on the job, rescinded the memo that required spying on parents that Mr. Garland had issued, and stood up the weaponization working group. I think he did that all on day one. Not to mention, you're the first Justice Department that's put in place, as we've talked about earlier, this Deputy Attorney General for combating fraud. So we appreciate that, and of course, all the things that Mr. Gill pointed out with the crime stats that have went down. So our last question of the day, but not the least, the gentleman, I'm sorry, we're gonna have two more. We got Mr. Onder and then Mr. Baumgartner. So Mr. Baumgartner, well, let's go that way since you're here. You're ready to go. Mr. Baumgartner, and then we'll come back to Mr. Onder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Attorney General Bondi. You know, being